Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn, and in today's video I am going to make some Tearaway zipper gift card holder tags. Boy, is that a mouthful. I'll show you 3 different ways to do this, including using some specialty dies designed for this type of project, some dies that you may already have in your stash, or to do it without any special dies at all. Let's make these tags. I'm actually going to start off with a little bit of coloring. I'm using 2 sets from the Cottage Cutz Christmas release part 2. If you want to skip to the coloring, I'll go ahead and timestamp this video so you can just bounce straight to the tag making and the final assembly. But I wanted to show this both of these die sets are just super adorable. The Santa is super cute. He also comes with the snowman too. And what's really cute about them is they're kind of ratty. The clothes that they're wearing, they've got little patches on them with those sort of stitch sew lines, which you can use or not. But I just think it's a different take on Santa and the snowman. And I'm coloring today with my Spectrum Noir Tri-Blend brush markers, which I like most of them. Some of them I feel like the colors are a little bit too far apart to really get a nice even blend. But the red one, this is deep red, I think is actually pretty good. And so what I've done in advance was to actually line some white cardstock with double-sided adhesive tape. And then I passed it through my die cutting machine. That way, all of these individual little pieces already have adhesive on the back. So when it comes time to assemble our Santa and our various other characters, it's really easy to do because some of the pieces are rather small. So it can be hard to get adhesive behind there, or if you're using a liquid adhesive, it can be a little bit messy. The markers that I'm using here are also from Spectrum Noir. They are kind of newish, I think. They are tricolor brush markers, and what's the difference? Well, the difference is that they are not 3, you still get 3 brush tips and 3 colors in one marker barrel. The difference is that instead of the 3 colors being of the same sort of hue, these 3 have been chosen to blend from one color to a totally different color. So a little bit interesting, a little bit different, and there's quite a range that give you that ombre effect of transitioning from one color to another. The one I used just has some nice more turquoisey, very light colors. And I think one color is a little bit turquoisey, the other one is a little bit more kind of a blue, like a true blue. And so the variation is very subtle, but it's great for shadowing white. And in particular, I like using blues when I'm creating the shadow for snow. For things like maybe the white fuzzy part of Santa's hat, I might use grays in that case, but for snow, I mean, you could use anything really, but I feel like having that blue is kind of nice. It's sort of suggestive of winter and frost and all of that. So one thing that happened here, and you'll see it when I put Santa together, I was using leftover scrap pieces that already had adhesive on the back, and you can probably see it on the left there, part of Santa's sleeve is actually missing because I positioned this piece of scrap a little bit too closely to the edge of an area that had already been cut out of this piece of paper. But you'll see later what I do with that, because I took the patch that, if you look at the packaging of the die set on the bottom there, that little green patch on Santa's pant leg, I used that to patch up that hole in his shirt. I just think it's so funny. It's so convenient, and I wasn't actually going to use the patch at all because I don't use it on the snowman. But I thought, well, he legit has a hole in his shirt, so I may as well patch it up. Okay, so here is what I mean. I did use gray here for the shadow on the Santa hat. And for the Santa hat, what I did, because it can have that sort of fuzzy texture, I like to just dot on the gray and then blend it out with my colorless blender. And so the other set that I'm using is the Polar Bear Trio and Igloo. And for the polar bears, it's really, and something like a snowman, I definitely prefer this method of lining white cardstock with double-sided adhesive tape and then coloring, because with polar bears and the Igloo, most of it's white anyways. So, you don't really need the, normally for the other method that I would use with Cottage Cutz dies is to use solid color cardstock, and so and then glue those bits. But with polar bears, they're mostly white, so there's not a lot to color. So it's great to just line your entire piece of cardstock with double-sided adhesive, and then everything's ready to stick. So here you can see I'm starting to assemble. And it's so easy because each little piece is basically a little sticker. Now, what I'm sticking it onto is another liner sheet. So I'll be able to peel this off, when I go to actually put this on my project. So that's definitely why I keep a lot of these liner sheets, because I buy double-sided adhesive in wide rolls that are 5 inches wide, but I have also started to buy them as larger sheets too, 8.5 by 11 sheets. And so I use those. If you use things like mailing labels, address labels, I save those as well and use those sheets too. Sometimes though, when you are using sheets from other places, just double check which side is meant to release from adhesive, because sometimes one side is just paper and it's only one side that will actually release, that has that slick coating that releases from adhesive. So just double check. There have been times where I haven't checked and then have lost some pieces and had to redo some things. So here I have just die cut the entire Polar Bear Trio and Igloo die, because I'm pretty much going to use everything, or intended to use everything. I don't know if I actually did. And so I just went ahead and die cut everything. I think the only things I didn't use were the little snowdrifts, which is really great that they come included too. But you can see I'm using these really light blues, just in areas that are meant to indicate some shadow. And so it's really great to give it that subtle little bit of color in order to have that dimension or impression of that dimension. The Igloo is great too. It actually comes in 2 pieces. There's a portion that is, or a separate die cut, that is the interior of the Igloo, and it's just the attention to detail is just so amazing, because we get all of these different hats, scarves in different kind of positions, angles, and all of that jazz. And I feel like for the most part, they are probably interchangeable in terms of scale and size. But it's lovely that we didn't just get the one set that, we can use interchangeably, but rather there's quite a few different options for scarves. There are a few different options for hats and snow caps. So I really love that you're getting a lot of metal, a lot of little details, and you can just kind of pick and choose between them what you want to use. And so I'm trying to color up some different sets. So there's a set of scarf and hat in blue, and a set of scarf and hat in green, and I do think I used a red one too. So onto the tag making. Now this die set, I should say, is from iCrafter, and it's designed to create this exact thing. And it's fantastic because there's the main die, and you can see all of those various openings, and the openings are because you can actually swap in different die plates for different designs, different occasions, different sentiments. And it's really awesome. It makes it really easy to line everything up and then die cut it and customize, personalize these tags for the occasion or the holiday that you want. So it's even got this Christmas tree, which I thought was super cute. And the die that I'm inserting now is the actual die that creates the little zipper pull. So that creates your perforated lines for tearing away or tearing open the pocket. So really fantastic. And even though it's super specialized, it because all of the additional elements that you can add to the tag die are separate dies, you don't necessarily have to use that tearaway aspect of it. You don't have to use the little slot that has the opportunity for you to put different icons or different graphics there. You don't have to use the sentiments. You could just use the tag die by itself, and any combination of those three opportunities for customizing the tag. I will say though, because anytime you have metal and then you have places that don't have metal, you are going to end up with some lines on your card. So if you did not have those different components, you are going to see the outline, I suppose, for each of those sort of boxed areas. So it will put a little bit of an indentation into your card. And on some cardstocks that may be more noticeable than others. But even though this is very specialized to be able to do the zipper pull tab, you could definitely, as I mentioned, use it in a variety of different ways. So it's still a very, very versatile die set. And plus, I love having the sentiments that cut into your card because you could add those to anything really. You don't have to add those to the tag. You could add those to your card and cut into your card that design, or you can add them to other tags. Whether you have other tag dies or hand cut tags of a specific size, you can always insert them into that too, because they cut into your card. You just have that design, and all of those square designs, you can see the variety that you get. There's the cake, maybe for birthdays. There's a heart, possibly for Valentine's Day. There's a star, a house, a tulip, and the Christmas tree. And you could probably find a square die that's slightly larger and cut an outside border to that as well, and have individual elements So really, really nice, that die set. Now, if you don't have a specialty die set like that one, and if it's still available, try to find that iCrafter die set and leave a link to it in the description box below. But you can, there's some different options and I'll show you those. So I'm going to cut 2 tags, and they are going to be 2 3/4 of an inch wide by 4.5 tall. Both of them will be the same dimensions. And I was just using one of those promotional gift cards, or I think it was probably like a promotional credit card that you get in the mail sometimes, just as a way to gauge how large of a tag I needed. And what I'll do is I'll cut the exact same dimension for my pattern paper as well. So 4.5 inches tall by 2 3/4 wide, and I'm going to cut 2 because I'll show you 2 more methods for creating these tearaway zipper pockets. I'm using the We Are Memory Keeper all-in-one tool, and it comes with this handy tag accessory tool that has this sort of diagonal ruler, and if you line up the top of your tag in the same spot consistently, what you can do is cut these 45-degree angled cuts at the top of your tag, flip your paper over, and get that exact same angled cut on the opposite side. And so that'll give you a perfect tag every time. And then on the side, there's a hole punch. And so you can't see it, but sort of engraved in the plastic, there's sort of ruler markings as well to help you center your tag so that you can get that hole nice and centered across the top there. And I haven't glued the 2 pieces of paper together yet, but I did want to stack them and get them lined up so that the hole is precisely in the same spot for between the pattern paper and the white cardstock that I used is actually 120-pound heavyweight cardstock. So I actually cut first and then I did my coloring, but as you saw in the way that I've edited this video, I've already completed my coloring. So here's everything all colored up and assembled and ready to put onto our cards. Okay, so this method of creating the Tearaway zipper pocket, you may have a die in your stash that will achieve this for you. I happen to have this Sizzix die set. It was on clearance a long time ago, so it may already be discontinued, but I'll check and look to see if it's still available. But it's got this lovely die that all it does is just cuts out this dot design in a straight line, and there's actually 2 lengths of it. And this is one way to get that perforated line, and you'll need 2 of these lines. So that's why I thought the second die might be long enough, but it wasn't. So I just decided I'll run this through my die cutting machine twice to get the second line. And so you can just eyeball how far apart you want to cut these lines, but see how it gives you that nice perforation. Now these holes are rather large, so you are going to be able to see what's inside the pocket. But that's just because, that's what I have. So you could definitely maybe shop your stash and see if you have border dies that just cut a design. So it doesn't have to be a pure dot design. It could be maybe a stitched line design as well. I think that would work really well too. And so, I've spaced them maybe 3/8 of an inch apart. And what I'm going to do on one end is just cut it clear to the end. That way, the start of this tearaway piece, I can kind of curl up a little bit, and it's easier to kind of start tearing that. It's also a little bit of a clue to the person who gets this tag that they should just tear that open. Now, if you don't have any specialty dies, you don't have any of those border dies, you can just draw 2 lines on your tag, the front pattern paper piece of your tag, and then just cut your own perforation. So all I'm doing is using a steel ruler. I've lined that up against my the line that I drew, and I drew these lines about 3/8 of an inch apart, and I'm just cutting little dashes, kind of making my own stitched line cut. And I'm being sure to try to cut all the way through, but I think as long as you've got it mostly through, it will help encourage that tear. And then same thing on one end of it. What I did was I just cut clear to the edge, and I even mitered that cut a little bit, again, just so that it's really clear and obvious that whoever gets this should just tear that right off, because it's not something somebody would necessarily think to do, and especially with the perforated hand cut lines, you can't see through that there's something inside there. So what I've done on this first one is just put double-sided adhesive along 3 edges, the 2 sides and the bottom, and you want to make sure that you are putting adhesive only below the perforated lines that you created. That way the pocket stays open so that you can slide your gift card in, and the part that you tear away also stays open and not glued down so that it can be completely removed. If you want, you can also glue down the top after you've actually loaded this with your gift card, but I'll show you in a bit that you don't really need to glue the top of your pattern paper down to the base of the tag, because if you tie a ribbon through that hole, doing that is enough to keep your gift card inside and keep the pattern paper sort of attached, I suppose. What I'm gonna do is just build up my scene now that my tag is pretty much complete. So I've just hand cut some snowbanks, and I am going to, on this first one, this is the hand cut perforated lines that I made. I'm going to use some of my polar bears. I did decide to kind of ink up the snowbanks a little, just to give it a little bit more depth and dimension, especially since my polar bears and the igloo have that. So the snowbanks felt a little too stark white against that. So I didn't even have to ink up my my little sponge, inking sponge. I just used whatever ink was left on there from my previous project, because you don't really need a lot just to have that nice little subtle shadow. And so I'll go ahead and place my little polar bears. Now they are going over different sort of depths of cardstock. So where there isn't as much cardstock behind a certain area of the polar bear, I've used some 3D glue gel to kind of make everything level. That way the characters, the little polar bears, don't feel like they are kind of leaning, backwards into the card. So that's why I like having 3D glue gel handy, because if you want everything to be nice and level, but you're gluing something over different number of layers of cardstock beneath it, then that 3D glue gel can be a really great way to adapt, your glue to just the right thickness that you need. And so that finishes off my first one, and now what I learned from doing that one is that the using just double-sided adhesive tape by itself is fine. It works okay, but it's a very, very snug fit. You can get the gift card in there, but it can be a little bit snug to get in, which means when the person gets it, it might be a little snug to get out. So for this one, what I did was used my low profile foam, so it's only 1 millimeter thick. It's not super thick to where the gift card's just gonna fall out of it, but it's just thick enough to accommodate that thickness of the gift card. And you can see I was trying to point out where I patched Santa's shirt. That still cracks me up. But I really suggest the low profile foam. And again, I just attached it to the 3 sides. So the left side, the right side, and the bottom edge. And you do want to make sure that you're leaving enough of an allowance so that your gift card can still fit in there. If you needed to cut your tags larger, you could definitely do that if you wanted. The other thing that I wanted to note with that is you want to make sure that whatever adhesive you are using, that you stay below that perforated, both your perforated lines, so that can tear away and release completely from the tag. And as well, this doesn't have to just be for gift cards. You could put some cash in there. If you did use thicker foam, you could put something a little bit more dimensional if you wanted to put something like a pair of earrings or a little bracelet, like a little charm bracelet, something that's still relatively thin, but you could definitely use that tearaway element to enclose a gift that's a little bit more dimensional if you wanted. And so here will be my last tag, and this is the one that uses the iCrafter tag die set, explicitly designed so that you can create this. And I think all of these methods are super easy, and you don't necessarily have to get anything special to create this style of zipper pull, which you could use on a variety of different types of projects, not just tags. So that's why it's kind of nice to know how to do it outside of this explicit, application. And so this might seem a little bit silly, but I just put my polar bear right over the the Christmas design that I cut in, because the polar bear was so cute. I really wanted to use him still, and it just worked out so perfect that he covers the tree really well. And then having the tree cut there meant that you could still see that lovely sort of mirror foil card, specialty card behind. So so it seems silly that I cut the tree in only to cover it up in the end. But by covering it up, though, or cutting it out still, that gives me that open area behind the polar bear. And so it's almost as if, it was meant to be that way. You would never know that there's a Christmas tree behind him. But I think it's super, super cute, and really fun way to give gift cards, which might feel a little bit blah because there isn't a box, that you can open. So this is one way to give gift cards where the recipient still has something to open and reveal their gift card. I hope that you enjoyed my 3 tags today. If you have a favorite, let me know which one in the description box below. And if you like this video, please consider liking, commenting, and sharing. It really helps my videos get out there, because then YouTube knows that there may be other people interested in seeing this video as well. Thanks again, and until next time, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye.